Hi guys, Wendell Sailor for PNGBet.com. Welcome to Big Dell's Tips. In round 3 we saw upsets all over the shop. I can't believe it. The Raiders got beaten at home by the Warriors. Tough day for the Raiders, but well done to the Warriors. Also, the Tigers, they've been abysmal this season, and they go to Newcastle and spoil Mitchell Pearce's 300th game. It is what it is, and I can't believe this, but let's see if we can go better in round 4, because my tipping was off last week. Okay, on Thursday night, the Panthers are up against the Seagulls. The Seagulls have been very, very ordinary. I can't see the Panthers getting beaten. On the back of Nathan Cleary coming back in the side, Matt Burton last week was a revelation. This young kid, I can see why the Bulldogs want him ASAP, but that's not going to happen, because what you need in this competition is you need depth. We know there's been a lot of injuries lately, and this is why you need talent like he is. Big kick out was great. The big back row, put his big mid under there, the big Fijian flyer. 1 minute he was down, the next minute he was up, saving tries. He was a handful all night, and Kurt Capewell played really well too. Manly, where do they go from here? Look, I can't tip Manly. Manly got to show me something. Their completion rate was terrible on Friday night against the Dragons. They made the Dragons look like a top 4 side. If it's going to start, it's got to start on the back of someone like DCE and Jake Trbojevic. They need big Tommy Turbo back, but he's still out for another couple of weeks. Dylan Walker's got to be better there. They've got to control the ball. Control the ball, complete your sets, and you're a chance against the Panthers. I can't see the Panthers losing this, but I tell you what, Manly have to have a go. So if I'm a punter, I'm taking Manly with 18.5 start, because you know they're going to have a go at Lotto Land, and they need to show some pride in that Manly jersey. So I know the Panthers are going to be good, but for me, take the Panthers with the plus 18.5. You should be right there. And what about Matt Burton? Slots into the centres, Crichton at fullback. It's going to be a cracking game. And the Bulldogs against the Rabbitohs. Oh, the Bulldogs. They need something. They're playing well for 30 or 40 minutes, but then they just go missing. And you can't go missing against the Bunnies. We saw what the Bunnies did to the Roosters last week. Roosters, everyone was going, especially me, there's no way they can get beaten. Well, they got beaten up real bad. I think at one stage, the Bunnies led 24-0. And then the Roosters came back into it. They lost 26-16. But Trell Mitchell, he's looking fit. He's looking mature as a player. And he's really composed there at the back. I like what he's doing. On the back of their forward pack was real direct last week. Cam Murray got the quick play of the balls, and that certainly helped generate the fast play of the balls out wide. Dane Gagai looked great, and mate, Cody Walker, what a star. We all talk about Cameron Munster being one of the best 5'8" in the game, but hey, let's not forget about Cody Walker. Twinkle toes. There's a telepathic sense where they're going, they're trailing each other. They seem to be a real happy side, the Bunnies. But for me, the Bulldogs, they got to show something. I know they're just getting used to their new combinations, new coach with Trent Barrett, but still at the moment, if you're a Dogs fan, mate, you're going to do it very tough, I think. I think it's going to be a long night for the Dogs. I'm going with the Rabbitohs, minus 9.5 for $1.73. If I'm you, get on the Bunnies, because I reckon they'll score plenty of tries this week. The Bunnies, they're going to be hard to beat this year. Well, what a game this is. Melbourne Storm versus the Broncos. This is always a grudge match. Storm and Broncos have got a massive history. The Storm have owned the Broncos for a long time. Certainly not on my day, it didn't happen. Not on my watch, as they say. But the Broncos last week, they got their first win since July. They were really good, 24-0. They waited a long time to execute, but in the second half, they got it going. On the back of guys like Xavier Coates, he was really good. And I've got to say, Herb Farnworth, really good footwork, and I think he made 3 or 4 line breaks, so well done to him. But I still think their problem is their halves. Milford and Brodie Croft aren't really taking them on at the moment, but what's good for the Broncos this week is they welcome back Matt Lodge and Payne Haas from suspension. So your 2 bookends will do a good job. So that pushes Tavita Pengai Jr. back on the bench and Flegler. So now they've got some firepower off the bench, which you're going to need to. Because this team, the Melbourne Storm, they don't lose 3 games in a row. They hardly ever lose back-to-back games. Last week they were very unlucky, but at the end we saw Justin Olam, mate, just catch pass, mate, just catch pass. I didn't catch pass much, I was like you, Justin Olam. Mate, he backed himself, but Kickout got there, and Pappenhausen's back this week for the Melbourne Storm. For me, I can't go past the Melbourne Storm. I think the Melbourne Storm will win this game, but I'd still be taking the Broncos with a 21.5 start for $1.70. 21.5 point start. The Broncos have got a lot of points in them. Their defence is to worry against Melbourne. But for me, I'm getting the Broncos with a 21.5 start. That's a lot of points. And we love our football. I love my footy. Round 4, how good is this? The Sharks versus the Cowboys. The Sharks, they were down on troops last week. I think they had one reserve on the bench at stages there. It was tough for them. And they dug in deep for John Morris, but Parramatta certainly had their way with them. And they're up against the Cowboys. So the Cowboys, the harder they try, the worse they get. I just don't know where the Cowboys go for me. They've got to show something. This game's at Net Strata, obviously. That should play right into the Sharks' hands. Mate, Josh Maguire was very critical of his team last week and said, they've been doing this for 3 years, not turning up for one another. You pay guys like Valentine Holmes big money, mate, they've got to aim up, and they're not aiming up at the moment. He's dropped a couple of players this week. Jake Clifford, he's a young star. He's been dropped in Essendon Masters. So that should fire up the Cowboys, but I can't see them getting the job done against the Sharks. The Sharks will be fired up. Full 17 this week. Take the Sharks minus the 9.5. I reckon they'll get the job done. The Cowboys, they'll be 0-4 unfortunately for the start of the season. Won't be riding Cowboy. And this is an absolute ripper. The Raiders versus the Titans. This game actually was supposed to be in southeast Queensland, but it's got moved because of the COVID. So now it's at Net Strata, which will be a real good game. So this is more or less a home game for the Raiders, because as we knew last year, they played a lot of their games sort of around Campbelltown and that. So for the Raiders, they had a few injuries last week too. They showed some grit on the back of guys like Jared Croker, who got injured really early. That was his comeback game. Sebastian Chris. But they've got to be better this week if they want to beat the Titans, because the Titans are playing such a power game. They're playing power with a bit of finesse too. And that comes from guys like Jamal Fogarty, who's doing a really good job of steering around, but on the back of AJ Brimson. What skills? He's not only fast, he's not only a smart footballer, he's a tough footballer. And then when you got guys who can set that standard for you, Jared Wallace is playing really good football, but Kevin Proctor, he's playing well on the edges, and they're superstars. We mention them every week, Fafita and Big Tino. Look, for me, it's hard to go past the Titans for me. I'm taking the Titans to win $2.30. That's a great price. The Raiders deserve to be the favourites, $1.62, but the Titans, they've set a standard this year, and I think they're the real deal. Get on the Titans. PNGBet.com. What an absolute cracking game we have on Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock, McDonald Jones Stadium. The Knights versus the Dragons. Let's see who can win this game. I tell you what, both teams are evenly matched, but I think the home ground certainly brings the Knights to be favourites, and so they should. But last week, they had that game against the Tigers. Shibasaki drops the ball there with about 4 minutes to go. Tigers find a way to win. I didn't think the Tigers could win that game, but they showed a bit. They scored Mitchell Pearce's 300th game. But if I have a look at the Dragons are playing some really good football. Ben Hunt's obviously injured for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Obviously got a break in his leg, so unfortunately for him, he'll be gone. But that brings Adam Clune, who's a very handy young half, and Corey Norman. It'll be his team now to steer him around. For me, I can't go past the Knights. I think they'll bounce back. They'll be embarrassed last week. There was a big crowd there. They don't normally let their crowd down, but they did last week. So the Dragons, they're full of fire, breathing fire. They're going to go to Newcastle. I'll take Newcastle, give them the 9.5 start. I think they'll need to bounce back this week, and they'll bounce back hard. So Mitchell Pearce will be fired up. He gave everything he wanted last week. Also, Tyson Frizzell against his old team. Everyone loved Tyson Frizzell on the Red V, but I'm sure some of his old teammates will be going, well, you know what? Why did you want to leave? We're going to show you why you shouldn't have. This will be an absolute cracking match, and I can't wait. So, tune in. Yeah. Happy with that?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And what a game we got for you at the SCG. The Roosters versus the Warriors. The Roosters have got 8 players injured. 8 players out of your salary cap. That's a lot. That's a lot of money, and that's a lot of players. Especially when you got big guns like Luke Keary out. Obviously, Boyd Cordner, his head's still, I think he's resting his head for another 8 weeks, and then he'll be back. But get excited, because this kid, I'm hearing a lot about this kid. I've seen highlights of him, Sam Walker. I played football with his brother Ben and Shane Walker. They're pretty handy players, and also Chris Walker was a pretty handy player. Walker's on, Walker's on. So Sam Walker, he comes into the side. Drew Hutchison goes to 5'8". Look, I still think this side's going to be hard to beat. It's a star-studded side still. The Roosters, they've got depth. They don't care too much. When you've got guys like Hargraves on the bench, Nat Butcher, you're going all right. But the Warriors, they've been a much improved side. They showed some ticking last week to come back against Canberra. I think they were down 22-6 at half time, and they found a way to come back on the back of RTS. I know he's going to rugby union, but you know what I love? I love this bloke. He made the call at the start of the year, and every week he's showing his teammates why he wants to play in the finals and why he wants to try and get them to a grand final. I can't go past the Roosters, but I still think the Roosters at $1.44 is a good price. But it's a good price, but still the Warriors, there's something about them. They're backing themselves. So take the Warriors with the 8.5 start. They know how to score tries. Mate, they're playing tough through the middle on the back of guys like Adam Fanua-Blake and Bunty Afoa. Bunty Afoa, what a great try saver last week on Chan's nickel clock stat. So for me, I think the Roosters will win, but the Warriors at the line. 8.5. That's a lot of points in this match. What a cracking Easter Monday game we got for you. The West Tigers up against the Parramatta Eels. What I'm excited about, young Dane Laurie, who I think will be Rookie of the Year this year. I'm going to call it early. He'll be Rookie of the Year up against Clint Gutherson, the old master. Gutho's been on everything. He's saving tries, he's scoring tries. You know, he's doing everything what's expected of him. But also Dane Laurie. For a young kid to play the way that he is, his composure, his skill, but just his footwork has been absolutely brilliant. I'm looking forward to seeing these forward packs go up against each other. Musgrove ripping into Regal Campbell-Gillard, into Junior Paulo. And the thing about Parramatta is not just how tough they are, but their skill set now. So the new rules are suiting these guys down to the team with their back row, with Madison and Nathan Brown. But I don't know if the West Tigers can back up what they did last week. It was a great win up there against Newcastle. To be honest, your PNG expert tipster didn't think they were a chance. So I got that wrong. They proved me wrong. And even at the end there, I just thought Newcastle would come back and beat them. But well done to the Tigers. But I don't think they can get close to the Parramatta Eels on Easter Monday. I think I'll get burnt hard. -8, I'll be taking the Eels. I'll be having plenty on it. All your Easter money, put it on the Eels, because I think the Eels will win by plenty. I'm talking plenty.